Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Steins Gate 0. In the last episode, Rintaro Okabe finally managed to apologize to Amadeus Kurisu, but only on the condition that he take Maho out to dinner. Fortunately, Rintaro was able to sidestep the rather sly AI's little plan by instead inviting her to the Christmas party being held by Mayuri at the Future Gadget Laboratory. And now, we apparently are seeing a flashback between Suzuha Mane and Kaguri Shina. Yet why is, for what reason is Kaguri holding a firearm? And she seems, Kaguri seems very distraught. Apparently she's having trouble comprehending Suzuha's motives to actually save the world line from its impending fate. Although, then again, she is an 8-year-old child after all. Something also tells me that there's slightly more to her outburst than meets the eye. I think she's somewhat distraught by the fact that if the world line changes, then Kaguri will never meet the Mayuri Shina who adopted her, who is currently in 2036. And she actually pulled the trigger. But of course, Suzuha is alive, otherwise we would be having a time paradox. There were bullet marks on the inside of the time machine. Suzuha traced them with her fingers and remembered what had happened here. That was the last time she had talked to Kaguri. So Kaguri vanished in the year of 1998. So they jumped there after fulfilling their mission in 1975. She'd never been able to find her after that.
Suzuha, どうしたん? ぼーっとして。もしかしてまだ体調悪い?
And it seems that Daru is outside, much to Suzuha's surprise. Suzuha looked back and saw her father, Itaru, also known as Daru. He seemed worried. He was holding a bolt in his hand and offering it to her.
ごめん、大丈夫。
Looks like he's here to help her sort of do some maintenance on the time machine. So I suppose it's considerate. She nodded and took the bolt. If memory serves, Suzuha had a fever over the last few days. It seems that Daru is really concerned for her. They were on the top of the roof of the radio building, where a cold wind was blowing. A light was shining down on the rear of the time machine where the engine was. Her head was inside as she did maintenance work. Daru was wandering around in the background. Normally she would never let him near the time machine, but today he'd absolutely insisted on coming. Looks like he found out about Suzuha's fever. Probably from Mayuri.
病み上がりの娘を心配しない親はいないっつうの。
And surprisingly, Daru actually does have a point. I don't think Suzuha could counteract that argument. And he's uncharacteristically serious as well. Of course, then again, that can change at the drop of the hat, knowing Daru. Suzuha has spent the last several days unable to stand up because she hadn't taken care of herself. There was nothing she could say back to him.
なあ、時空間の転移とか重力制御とかヤバそうな装置は絶対にいじらないからさ、僕にも手伝わせてくんない？
ダメ。
Well, that was blunt and to the point, Suzuha. Even now, she's still afraid that if Daru knows how the time machine works in 2010, that might inevitably cause a time paradox conflicting with the events of 2036.
機械のメンテなら多分鈴葉より僕の方が詳しいのだぜ。
それは分かってる。けどダメ。
And yet, if Daru doesn't actually figure out how to use the time machine, then that too will create a paradox conflicting with the events of 2036. Now it's Daru with the unable to make a comeback. Daru slumped forward, dejected, but Suzuha had no intention of discussing it.
なあ鈴葉、今日はもう暗いしさ、寒いしさ、続きは明日にするべきだって。そろそろ帰ろう。
There are very few times in which I ever agree with Daru Hashida, but this is one of those times. Of course, knowing Suzuha, she is loath to stop working on the time
どうせ
machine.
一人で帰ればいい。私はまだやることがあるから。
She's still diligently dedicated to the mission that was bestowed on her by the future Daru of 2036.
かがりたんを探すん？オカリンにも協力してもらえることになったんだからさ。鈴葉一人でそこまで無理しなくてもいいんじゃね？
And Suzuha has yet another monkey in the wrench, as it were.
風邪治ったばっかりなんだし、しばらくはかがりたん探しはやめにすべき。
And yet she's still looking for Kaguri even now. That made her a little mad.
それ、私に無断でオカリンおじさんに話してほしくはなかった。
Yeah, clearly Suzuha didn't want Rintaro to find out about Kaguri, but he found out anyway thanks to Daru. Suzuha had told Daru that she was spending every day looking for Kaguri, but it was only later that she found out he'd told Rintaro. Of course, you have to remember, Suzuha, that you don't have an infinite amount of fuel with the time machine. It wasn't a problem, but her relationship was already a bit strained, and this only made it harder for her to ask him to get back into the time machine. I believe he was pretty clear on just why he didn't want to go back in time.
つうか、さっきからずいぶん苦戦してね。
締めにくい角度にボルトがあるんだ。
And Suzuha's completely frustrated.
僕が代わるよ。それくらいならいいっしょ。
うん。
Well, at least she's letting him do maintenance on the time machine. Which is definitely something that he's good at, given that he's a technical genius of sorts. Suzuha pulled her head out of the engine unit.
顔中油だらけじゃん。せっかくの美人が台無しだ。
There is the bona fide otaku.
そういうことは母さんに言ってあげなよ。
それはハードル高すぎ。
I think his courage points are a little too low, Suzuha. Daru stuck his face inside the machine and began to look around.
ああ、この構造だと多分こっちのパイプを後からはめたんだな。
Seems that Daru certainly has an eye for machinery.
先にパイプを外すといいよ。パイプの中に冷却用の液体かなんかが通ってるはずだから、 まずこっちのバルブを使って中を空にするわけ。
And at the very least, he's definitely learning how, definitely getting an idea about the nuts and bolts of the time machine.
このマシンってメンテナンスのことをあんまり考慮に入れてないと思う。
Given the fact that it was only designed for a very specific use, that could be
まった
true.
くだお。すげえめんどくせえ。
What does YPETA stand for? Well, let me just bring up the tips. It's an acronym for What a Pain in the Ass. That's what it stands for. Now you
作
know.
ったの誰だと思ってるわけ？
Yeah, Suzuha raises a very good point, Daru. Indeed, you built this time machine. Daru sighed and started to concentrate on his work. He did his job silently, twisting his massive body left and right. Watching him, Suzuha remembered her childhood. When she was younger, she loved watching her dad build the time machine.
父さん、
え？
私最近なんだか自分でも自分が理解できなくなってきてさ。
It seems that Suzuha is starting to have quite a few doubts.
こんなこと考えるなんておかしいんだけど、この世界をなくしてしまって本当にいいのかなって。
Seems that Kaguri's last words to her have had more of an effect on Suzuha than she would care to admit. But believe it or not, Suzuha, that is the very question that has weighed on the conscience of none other than Rintaro Okabe, as he erased the world lines of Ferris and even Rukiko. And unfortunately, he basically had to do the very same thing in order to jump from the Alpha world line to the Beta world line, thus erasing the Alpha Kurisu Makase. Her mind flashed back to young Kaguri's screams. "You can't erase this world, huh?" She'd never forgotten the look in Kaguri's eyes, and she'd never been able to shake the feeling that they were watching her somehow. Of course, if she is in this timeline, she would be 22, as I believe I've mentioned previously.
マキセ・クリスは死なずにシュタインズゲートへの門が開くんだ。
There are only two obstacles to that outcome. First of all, Rintaro Okabe's anxiety problems, which make this more difficult than it needs to be. And the other wrinkle in the equation is world line convergence. After all, Rintaro Okabe spent countless time leaps and went through countless world lines in order to try and avert the death of Mayuri Shina. And once he jumped to the Beta world line, the sword of Damocles that was held above the head of Mayuri suddenly shifted to Kurisu Makase.
うん。
And there's no real possibility that we can actually get to Steins Gate from this particular Beta world line.
そしたら今のこの世界、父さんも母さんもまゆ姉さんもルミ姉さんもオカリンおじさんもみんななかったことになってしまう。
Indeed, so many bad things will be gone from this world. World War III, the battle over the time machines. But so many good memories and interactions would also have never taken place, such as the events on the Alpha World lines. And a thought has just popped into my mind. On the Alpha World line, CERN was planning to raise a dystopia. On the Beta World line, America, Russia and the European Union are fighting it out over time machine technology. Who's to say that there isn't another series of world lines where other serious catastrophes are happening? Other Suzuha manes who are being forced to go back in time from their respective 2036s in order to reach the one point in time and space, that unobserved world line known to one and all as Steins Gate. So many possibilities.
今の父さんに会ったこともなくなってしまう。
これって告白シーン？セーブしとくべきとこ？
And Daru being the quintessential perverted gentleman here, as well as his bona fide otaku self, Suzuha said nothing and poked her dad's calf with her toes.
真面目な話をしてるんだ。今度ふざけたら蹴るよ。
She probably would at that, Daru. Don't doubt it for a second. But Daru can sense Suzuha's indecision.
まあ、そのなんだ。別にいいんじゃね？
I would certainly say that shifting world lines is a pretty big deal, Daru.
今が消えてもいいんじゃね？
Something tells me that Mayuri would care, not to mention Rentaro Okabe with his power of reading Steiner.
だってこの先人が大勢死ぬんだろ？そんなの嫌じゃん。
父さん。
鈴葉はいろいろと考えすぎだお。戦争なんて嫌だ。だから世界を変えるんだ。そのくらい単純でいいと違うん？
I had to burst your moment of seriousness and sincerity, Daru, but as Rentaro Okabe will certainly tell you, it's not simple at all. In fact, world lines are a little bit more complicated than that. The butterfly effect is unforgiving at
戦争なん
times.
て行きたくないし、鈴葉と違ってこんな人間だから、戦場なんかに連れて行かれたら3日も持たないね。
Indeed, of course, when it comes to electronic warfare, there is nobody who can go toe-to-toe with Daru.
だらし
And
ないな。
that's a
幻
fact.
滅だよ。
Sad but true. Suzuha sighed, turned around and started to walk away.
あれ、どこ行くん？
顔洗ってくる。油でベタベタだ。
That's probably a good idea. Also, probably pays not to have it stain your clothes, although I think she's probably
その
wearing
ボルト閉めたら
overalls.
カバーも閉じておいてくれる？父さんの言う通り、今日はかがりを探すのはやめておくよ。
So it seems that Suzuha is going to put the search for Kaguri on hold for the time being.
お、それがいいよ。一緒に帰ろう。
Daru is back to his usual self, but this time Suzuha, I think, is willing to take Daru up on his offer. Suzuha looked up at the moon, shining in the cloudy winter sky. She let out a puff of white breath. The white breath danced in the air for a moment, and then disappeared into the cold.
父さん。
ん？
幻滅とか嘘だから。
I'm pretty sure. Well, you were and you weren't. Let's split the
父さん
difference.
は銃を持って戦争をする人じゃない。未来でもそうだった。いつも逃げ回るのが仕事。
In other words, you were our getaway driver, Daru.
未来の僕ダメ人間すぎる。
On the contrary, without a back door, I don't think we would have made it as far without you.
それでいいんだ。父さんには別の戦いがあるし、そのために私たちがついてるんだから。
Suzuha.
Indeed, you may not be good at physical combat, but when it comes to electronic information warfare, there is no one better than Daru.
だから父さんこそ変に頑張ろうとしないで。日本は安全だなんて思い込みは捨てること。この前オカリンおじさんだって襲われたんだ。いつ父さんが標的になってもおかしくない。
So Suzuha found out about the assassination attempt against Rintaro. Yeah, things are starting to unravel at this point in time.
戦争前夜
Definitely
なんだ
pays to be
よ。
prepared.
今はね。
Are very prophetic of you there, Suzuha. For 2 weeks, someone had been watching Suzuha in the time machine. It was clear that some great power was on the move. Indeed, too many suspicious circumstances have been happening for everything to be a mere coincidence.
Okie dokie.
Daru takes it in stride. Suzuha nodded, satisfied at Daru's answer, and went to the bathroom to wash her face. Hopefully, afterwards she'll feel a little bit better. And we're back with Rintaro's perspective. And we're at the Future Gadget Laboratory. The lab was filled with Santas, just like I'd heard on the phone. And there's even a Santa Rooper as well. And all of them were wearing mini skirts. I'm almost afraid to ask, but does that include Rukiko as well? There's Mayuri, Ferris, and Yuki. Well,
準備はバッチリですよ。
well, we certainly kept our promise.
どうもメリクリです。
And Fubuki and Kaide.
オカリンさん、こんばんは。
Oh. Well met, to each and every one of you. The sight of so many girls in a small room like this, all wearing Santa miniskirts, threatened to overwhelm me. It's a good thing Daru isn't here. And there is the black sheep that is Ruka Urushibara. I was having trouble deciding where to look when Rukiko staggered in front of me.
岡部さん。
Well, this certainly isn't going to be awkward in the slightest. What are you wearing, man? A black Santa rabbit costume? I didn't expect a Santa in black. And wasn't he exposing an awful lot of skin? Yeah, that way lies madness. But he's a guy, as we have no choice but to remind ourselves every single time we go down this
岡
road.
部さん。僕。
I think Ruka's going to start breaking out in tears.
ルカ子なんていうか
You've survived the battle of the cosplay. That is a good sign. It must have been hard being the only guy. I gave him a pat on the shoulder and he smiled, relieved.
私もサンタ服着たかったな。
Hello, Nai Tanuji. I think you probably could have made her a Santa hat,
じゃあ
Mayuri.
来年はなえちゃんの分も作ってあげるね。本当？
And if Nai is here, then I take it that Mr. Braun himself is not far behind.
ありがとう、まゆりお姉ちゃん。
I don't think he would let Nai out of his sight for too long.
えへへ。
Then again, he might be downstairs just in case.
さあ、オカリン、入って入って。
ダルと鈴葉は
They're currently on the radio building, so we'll
ま
ignore
だ
them
連
for
絡
now.
ないんだ。
The biggest goal today was to get Suzuha to participate. It was no exaggeration to say that that's why Mayuri held this party. So that's the reason why Daru said that he needed to see Suzuha on the roof of the radio building. Of course, we brought guests, Maho Hyajo and Professor Alexis Leskinen. I told them earlier that I was bringing Dr. Leskinen and Maho. And a certain nosy AI by the name of Amadeus Kurusu. I brought the two of them inside.
紹介するレスキネン教授だ
Merry Christmas!
And a Happy New Year. And they were all rather surprised at how he can speak English. Of course, he's no Santa Claus. Yeah, he's big, especially for a young child like Nai.
キュートなお嬢さん。
でも、お父さんの方が大きい。
Yeah, I think when it comes to size, no one has Mr. Braun beat. Speaking of which, he's probably
それともう一
downstairs.
人
And to introduce Maho.
どうも、はじめまして。
And again the reactions.
おお。あら。
For the exact opposite reasons. Unfortunately.
また会ったね。
Yeah, the cat girl is back.
あら、ニャンニャンの人、
Indeed, favors Nyan Yan.
小学生？中学生？
And Nai makes the exact same mistake that everyone else has made so far. But I think Maho can forgive her.
これでも成人しているのよ。
Although actually it's going to be very hard to actually prove to Nai that Maho is in fact much, much older.
ごめんなさい。
It's okay, everyone makes that mistake. Maho's smile froze on her face. Don't push her too far.
なぎりちゃん、どう思う？二人とも逸材だよ。あゆしーは妄想がはかどります。なえちゃんの分も含めて小さめのサイズを用意しておけばよかった。まゆしー、一生の不覚だよ。
There's always next year, Mayuri.
そのリトルサンタコンビは、ああ、見たかったな。
Little mini Santas.
ね
That's not really much of a compliment to Maho, unfortunately. Mayuri had it in her sights then. There was no escape from Maho now. Mayuri was so stubborn, she'd even managed to convince the legendarily shy Rukuko.
教授先生の方は
I think he's too big to be
に
Santa.
会うコスは作ったことないよ
Yeah, it might be a new challenge for
存在だけです
Mayushi.
でに勝ちだけどねもふもふトナカイさんの着ぐるみを着てもらいたいかも赤鼻もつけて
The terrifying part is, he'd probably wear it too.
それはどうかな
Yuki is, on the other hand, is not quite so sure. Wait, were they seriously going to dress the professor up as a reindeer?
マユリ誰も彼もコスプレ趣味を理解してくれるとは思わない方がいいぞ
Unfortunately, yeah. Forget that hope, Rentaro.
そうだね無理強いするのは良くないよね
And yet, when it comes to cosplay, Mayuri has the persistence of Kurusu Makase.
でも最近はコンビニなんかでもクリスマスには店員さんがサンタさんの格好をしていますよコミマとクリスマスだと性質はだいぶ違いますよね
Indeed they are, though not entirely mutually exclusive. Or so you say, but basically you want to dress the two of them up in Santa outfits, don't you?
という
Indeed they do.
マホさんサンタ服よかったらマユシーのを貸しましょうか
Mayuri was already going after her. Maho refused as forcefully as she could, but Liskinen was surprisingly interested. He'd been trying to put on a triangular paper party hat.
ダルくんから連絡来たよ
What does it say?
もうすぐ作ってすずさんと一緒
Seems like he's on his way with Suzuha. Mayuri was looking into her smartphone. It looked like Daru had managed to pull it off. I guess he really was Suzuha's dad. This meant we succeeded in our biggest objective, which meant it was on to the next mission. We'd all decided that we were going to surprise Suzuha. Suzuha didn't know that we were all waiting for her. We each grabbed a noisemaker and got into position. Dr. Leskinen and Maho helped too. Maho seemed unsure, but Leskinen was more than willing to participate.
電気を消すにゃ
And now, the lights are off. It's a good thing our eyes are adjusting to the darkness.
すずさん喜んでくれるかな
I wonder if she will like it too, Mayuri. I wonder the same thing. Well, that's it for this episode of Let's Play Steins Gate 0. And when we return, adventurers, we shall see, well, we'll unleash our big surprise party for Suzuha Mane. As always, until next we meet.